Elliot's heart shattered in the middle of a crowded Seattle coffee shop, the clatter of mugs and hiss of espresso machines drowning out the world. Caleb, his boyfriend of 2 years, sat across from him, his blue eyes avoiding Elliot's gaze, muttering words that sliced deeper than any knife. "I'm going back to Ryan." The confession landed like a grenade, and Elliot, frozen, could only watch as the love he'd built his life around crumbled in seconds. They'd met at a rainy open mic night in Capitol Hill, where Caleb's soulful guitar strumming had pulled Elliot in like a tide. Their first kiss under a street lamp, rain soaking their jackets, felt like a promise of forever. Now that promise was ash. Caleb's ex, Ryan, had reappeared after a year of silence, and Caleb, with his soft apologies and trembling hands, admitted he'd never stopped loving him. Elliot wanted to scream, to beg, but pride glued his lips shut. He nodded, stood, and walked out into the drizzle, leaving half a latte and his heart behind. The next morning, Elliot woke to a text from an unknown number. "Hey, this is Marcus, Ryan's brother. I heard what happened. Can we talk?" Confusion hit first, then curiosity. Why would Ryan's brother reach out? Elliot didn't know Marcus, only vague stories from Caleb about Ryan's overprotective older sibling. Against his better judgment, he agreed to meet at a park near Lake Union. Marcus was nothing like Elliot expected. Tall, with deep brown skin and a warm, easy smile, he radiated a quiet strength that disarmed Elliot's defenses. They sat on a bench, the lake sparkling under the September sun, and Marcus spoke with a sincerity that caught Elliot off guard. "I know you're hurting," he said, his voice steady. "Ryan's my brother, but he's not perfect. And Caleb, he's making a mistake." Elliot's throat tightened. Why did this stranger care? But Marcus's eyes, kind and unflinching, held no judgment, only understanding. They talked for hours about heartbreak, family, the weight of expectations. Marcus shared how he'd come out to his conservative family years ago, how Ryan's charm often overshadowed his recklessness. Elliot found himself confessing things he'd never told Caleb. His fear of being unlovable, his childhood in foster care, the way he'd always chased people who left. Marcus listened, really listened, and for the first time in days, Elliot felt seen. As the sun dipped low, Marcus handed Elliot a coffee from a nearby cart, their fingers brushing. "You're stronger than you think," Marcus said, and Elliot's chest warmed, a flicker of something new sparking amid the wreckage of his heart. But doubt crept in. Was this just pity? Could he trust anyone again, let alone the brother of the man who'd stolen Caleb back? Over the next week, Marcus texted daily. Small things, like a photo of a dog he'd seen or a joke about Seattle's endless rain. Each message chipped away at Elliot's walls, but the pain of Caleb's betrayal lingered. He saw Caleb and Ryan once, hand in hand at a farmer's market, and the sight burned. He called Marcus that night, voice breaking, and Marcus showed up at his apartment with takeout and a playlist of 90s R&B. They laughed, sang off key, and for a moment, Elliot forgot to hurt. But Caleb wasn't done haunting him. A late-night call came, Caleb's voice slurred with whiskey. "I messed up, El. I miss you." Elliot's heart lurched, torn between the past and the fragile hope Marcus offered. He hung up, but the words echoed. Could Caleb mean it? Or was this just another game? Marcus invited Elliot to a community art event in Fremont. "A chance to breathe," he said. The event buzzed with color, murals, music, and food trucks lining the streets. Marcus's laugh was infectious as they painted a canvas together, their hands smudged with blue and gold. Elliot caught Marcus watching him, not with pity, but with something deeper, something that scared and thrilled him. "You're not just Ryan's brother," Elliot said, half teasing, half serious. Marcus grinned. "Never was." That night, Elliot lay awake, replaying Caleb's call and Marcus's smile. Two paths stretched before him, the familiar pull of a love that had broken him or the uncharted risk of a man who saw him whole. He didn't know which terrified him more. Elliot's phone buzzed at 2 a.m., Caleb's name flashing like a warning. He didn't answer, but the voicemail left a bruise. "I need you." Ryan's "not it's not the same." The words clawed at Elliot's resolve, dragging him back to memories of Caleb's laugh, his warmth, their late-night talks about dreams they'd never chased. He deleted the message, but sleep never came. By morning, Marcus's text arrived, oblivious to the chaos. "Brunch at Pike Place? My treat." Elliot hesitated. Caleb's voice still echoed, but Marcus's steady presence was a lifeline. He typed sure and hit send before doubt could stop him. Pike Place Market was alive with vendors shouting over the hum of tourists. Marcus, in a green jacket that made his eyes spark, led Elliot to a tucked-away cafe. Over pancakes and coffee, Marcus shared stories of his work as a social worker, helping queer youth navigate a world that often rejected them. His passion was magnetic, and Elliot found himself leaning closer, caught in the orbit of Marcus's conviction. "You make it sound so easy," Elliot said, stirring his coffee. "Helping people." Marcus shook his head. "It's not, but it's worth it, like you are." The words hit harder than Elliot expected. He wanted to believe them, but Caleb's voicemail lingered like a ghost. When Marcus reached for his hand, Elliot pulled back, not ready to cross that line. Marcus didn't push, just smiled softly and changed the subject to the best food stalls in the market. Days blurred into a rhythm of texts and meetups with Marcus. They explored bookstores in Pioneer Square, hiked trails near Issaquah, and shared quiet evenings on Marcus's balcony overlooking the city. Each moment felt like a step toward something real, but Caleb's shadow loomed. Another call came, this time during a movie night at Marcus's place. Elliot silenced it, but Marcus noticed. "You okay?" he asked, pausing the film. Elliot lied. "Yeah, just spam." But Marcus's gaze saw through him. The tension broke at a drag show in Belltown. The club pulsed with glitter and bass, and Marcus, ever the extrovert, cheered louder than anyone. Elliot laughed, caught up in the energy, until Caleb appeared at the bar, alone. Their eyes locked, and Caleb crossed the room. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice low. Marcus stiffened beside Elliot, but said nothing, his silence a quiet strength. Elliot's heart raced. "Not here," he managed, and Caleb nodded, leaving with a glance that promised more. Outside, under the neon glow, Marcus spoke first. "You don't owe him anything, Elliot, but you owe yourself the truth." The words stung, because Elliot didn't know what his truth was anymore. He cared for Marcus, maybe more than cared, but Caleb's pull was a tide he'd drowned in before. The next day, Elliot met Caleb at a quiet diner in West Seattle. Caleb looked worn, his charm dulled by regret. "Ryan's too much," he admitted. "I thought I wanted him, but it's you, El." The confession should have felt like victory, but it felt hollow. Elliot saw Caleb clearly now, his indecision, his inability to commit. "You can't keep doing this," Elliot said, voice steady. "I deserve better." He walked out, lighter but still fractured. Marcus was waiting at their usual park bench, a book in hand. "You did what you needed to," he said, not asking for details. Elliot sat beside him, their shoulders brushing. "I'm scared," he admitted. Marcus turned, his eyes soft but fierce. "Good. That means you're alive." For the first time, Elliot didn't pull away when Marcus's hand found his. Elliot's world felt unsteady, like walking a tightrope over a canyon. Marcus's hand in his was an anchor, but the ghost of Caleb's words, "It's you, El," kept tugging him backward. He wanted to move forward, to trust the warmth in Marcus's eyes, but fear whispered he'd fall again. They spent more time together, weaving through Seattle's autumn streets. Marcus took him to a jazz club in Columbia City, where the saxophone's wail mirrored Elliot's tangled emotions. Over drinks, Marcus shared more about his life. Growing up in Atlanta, his estrangement from his parents after coming out, his fight to carve a place in a world that didn't always want him. "You don't just survive that," Marcus said, swirling his glass. "You build something better." Elliot envied that strength, but Marcus saw it in him too. "You're still here, aren't you?" he said, and Elliot's chest tightened with hope. Caleb didn't stop. Texts came sporadically, each one a plea. "I'm sorry. Can we try again?" Elliot deleted them, but each ping chipped at his resolve. One evening, while he and Marcus cooked dinner in Marcus's cozy apartment, Caleb showed up unannounced. The doorbell's chime froze them both. Through the peephole, Elliot saw Caleb, disheveled, eyes red. "I need to see you," Caleb called through the door. Marcus stepped back, giving Elliot space but not leaving. "Your call," he said, voice calm but eyes sharp. Elliot opened the door, heart pounding. Caleb's words tumbled out. Apologies, promises, the same charm that had once won Elliot over. But this time, Elliot saw the cracks. "You don't get to keep breaking me," he said, voice low but firm. Caleb's face fell, and he left without another word. Marcus didn't ask what happened. Instead, he turned up the music, Nina Simone's voice filling the room, and handed Elliot a spatula. "Let's finish these tacos," he said, and Elliot laughed, the sound surprising him. The night felt like a turning point, but doubt lingered. Could he really let go of Caleb for good? The answer came at a queer youth fundraiser Marcus organized. The community center was packed, string lights casting a warm glow over tables of art and baked goods. Elliot helped set up, watching Marcus move through the crowd, hugging kids, joking with volunteers. His ease, his purpose drew Elliot in deeper. During a quiet moment, Marcus pulled him aside. "I'm not here to fix you," he said, voice earnest. "But I'm here, if you want me to be." Elliot's throat closed. He wanted to say yes, to leap, but fear held him back. That night, he went home alone, staring at his phone, Caleb's latest text glowing, "I'll wait for you." He didn't reply, but the words burrowed deep. The next morning, Marcus invited him to a hike in the Cascades. The trail was steep, the air crisp with pine. At the summit, overlooking a valley of gold and green, Marcus spoke. "I've been where you are, Elliot. Loving someone who doesn't know how to love you back. It's hell. But you get to choose what comes next." Elliot looked at him, the wind ruffling Marcus's curls, and felt something shift. He didn't have all the answers, but he wanted to find them with Marcus. Elliot stood at the edge of a decision, the Cascades' vastness stretching below him. Marcus's words, "You get to choose what comes next," echoed, both a challenge and a promise. For the first time, Elliot saw a future that didn't revolve around Caleb's orbit, but the pull of the past was relentless. Back in Seattle, life with Marcus bloomed in small, vivid moments. They biked along the Burke-Gilman Trail, shared late-night ramen in the International District, and debated sci-fi novels at a cozy bookstore. Marcus's patience was a quiet force, never pushing but always present. Yet, Caleb's texts persisted, each one a hook sinking deeper. "I'm changing, El. Give me a chance." Elliot ignored them, but the silence felt like a betrayal of the love he'd once poured into Caleb. One rainy afternoon, while volunteering at Marcus's youth center, Elliot met a teen named Sam, a shy 16-year-old navigating their own coming-out journey. Sam's story, fear of rejection, The ache for acceptance mirrored Elliot's past. Marcus worked with Sam effortlessly, offering guidance without judgment. Watching them, Elliot felt a pang of clarity. Marcus wasn't just kind. He was a builder of safe spaces, something Caleb had never been. That night, over pizza at Marcus's place, Elliot opened up. "I keep waiting for Caleb to be someone he's not," he admitted. Marcus listened, his gaze steady. "You're not waiting for him," he said. "You're waiting for you to let go." The truth landed hard, but it was freeing. Elliot reached for Marcus's hand, and this time he didn't let go. But Caleb wasn't done. A week later, he showed up at Elliot's workplace, a small graphic design studio in Ballard. "I'm sober now," Caleb said, eyes pleading. "I'm ready to be better." The words were everything Elliot had once wanted, but they felt wrong now, like a song out of tune. He thought of Marcus's laugh, his quiet strength, and shook his head. "I'm done, Caleb. I'm choosing me." Caleb left, and Elliot's heart ached, but it didn't break. Marcus planned a weekend getaway to Orcas Island. "A chance to reset," he said. The ferry ride was chilly, the Salish Sea glittering under a weak sun. They hiked through Moran State Park, the forest thick with cedar and moss. At a lookout, Marcus turned to Elliot. "I'm falling for you," he said, voice raw. "But I need to know you're all in." Elliot's breath caught. He wanted to say yes, but the weight of his past made him pause. "I'm trying," he whispered. Marcus nodded, his smile tinged with patience and hope. Back in the city, Elliot found a letter from Caleb slipped under his door. "I'm leaving Seattle," it read. "I hope you find what you're looking for." The words should have hurt, but they felt like closure. Elliot tucked the letter away and texted Marcus, "Dinner tonight?" The reply was instant. "Always." Elliot's apartment felt different now, lighter, as if Caleb's letter had lifted a weight. He stood at his window, Seattle's skyline glowing against the dusk, and realized he was ready to choose. Marcus wasn't a rebound or a distraction, he was a beginning. Their dinner that night was at a rooftop restaurant in Queen and the city sprawling below. Marcus wore a navy sweater that hugged his frame, his smile easy but searching. Over wine and pasta, Elliot spoke first. "I'm all in," he said, voice steady despite the flutter in his chest. Marcus's eyes lit up, and he reached across the table, their fingers intertwining. "Took you long enough," he teased, but his voice was thick with emotion. The weeks that followed were a blur of joy. They danced at a queer nightclub in Capitol Hill, Marcus's arms around Elliot as the beat pulsed. They volunteered together at the youth center, where Sam, the teen Elliot had met, thanked them with a shy smile. Marcus introduced Elliot to his chosen family, friends who filled his apartment with laughter and warmth. Elliot felt like he belonged, not as an extension of someone else, but as himself. But healing wasn't linear. One night, scrolling through old photos, Elliot found a picture of him and Caleb at a festival, grinning under fireworks. The memory stung, not with longing, but with the realization of how much he'd given to someone who couldn't give back. He called Marcus, who showed up with ice cream and a bad action movie. "You're allowed to feel it," Marcus said, pulling Elliot close. "Just don't stay there." Winter settled over Seattle, blanketing the city in gray. Marcus and Elliot bundled up for a holiday market, weaving through stalls of crafts and hot cider. Marcus bought a small, hand-carved owl for Elliot. "Because it's wise, like you're becoming," he said. Elliot laughed, but the gesture warmed him. He was learning to trust again, not just Marcus, but himself. Then came a test. Ryan, Marcus's brother, reached out asking to meet. Curious and cautious, Elliot agreed. They met at a quiet cafe in Fremont. Ryan was charming, like Caleb had said, but there was an edge to him, a restlessness. "I heard you and Marcus are close," Ryan said, his tone probing. "Just be careful. He's intense." Elliot bristled. "He's real," he shot back. Ryan shrugged, but the encounter left Elliot unsettled. Was this jealousy or something else? He told Marcus about it later, expecting tension, but Marcus just laughed. "Ryan's always been dramatic. He'll get over it." Elliot admired Marcus's calm, his ability to let family be flawed without letting it define him. It was a strength Elliot was still chasing. By New Year's Eve, Elliot felt ready to claim his future. He and Marcus stood on a hill overlooking the Space Needle, fireworks bursting above. As the crowd cheered, Marcus pulled Elliot close. "Here's to us," he whispered. Elliot kissed him, the world fading to just them, the city, and the promise of a new year. The new year brought clarity, but also challenges. Elliot and Marcus's relationship deepened, but life didn't pause for their happiness. Marcus's work at the youth center grew busier, and Elliot took on a big project at his design studio. Time together became precious, carved out in stolen moments. A coffee run, a late-night walk, a quiet breakfast. One spring evening, they attended a gala for the youth center, dressed in sharp suits, the room glittering with hope and activism. Marcus gave a speech, his voice steady as he spoke about building community for those who'd been cast out. Elliot watched, pride swelling. This was the man he loved, not a fleeting spark like Caleb, but a steady flame. After the gala, they walked along the waterfront, the Puget Sound dark and calm. Elliot stopped, turning to Marcus. "I love you," he said, the words spilling out before he could overthink them. Marcus's face softened, and he pulled Elliot into a kiss, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. "I love you too," he said, and Elliot felt whole. But life tested them. Marcus's mother, who'd never accepted his queerness, called out of the blue, asking to reconnect. The conversation left Marcus shaken, torn between hope and old wounds. Elliot listened, held him, and shared his own stories of navigating a fractured past. They leaned on each other, learning that love wasn't just joy, but carrying each other's pain. Summer brought warmth and new rhythms. They moved in together, a small apartment in Wallingford filled with books and plants. Sam, now thriving at the youth center, became a regular visitor, calling them the cool uncles. Elliot found purpose in mentoring, something he'd never imagined. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was building. One day, a postcard arrived from Caleb, postmarked from Portland. "I'm happy for you," it read. Elliot smiled, no longer stung by the past. He tucked it away and joined Marcus on the balcony, where they watched the sunset. "You saved me," Elliot said, resting his head on Marcus's shoulder. Marcus shook his head. "You saved yourself. I just got to watch." Their story wasn't perfect. There were fights, doubts, moments when the world felt heavy. But they faced it together, rooted in a love that didn't demand perfection, only presence. Elliot looked at Marcus, at the life they were building, and knew he'd found home. Not in a place, but in a person who saw him, chose him, and stayed. The park bench where they'd first met became their spot, a place to return to. One afternoon, they sat there, hands entwined, the lake shimmering. A new note was tucked into the bench's slats, in Marcus's handwriting. "Love is worth fighting for." Elliot smiled, knowing they'd both fought and won.